The law office smelled of lemon polish and old paper, scents that would forever remind Maya Chen of the day her marriage officially ended. She sat in the reception area of Blackwell and Associates, her hands trembling slightly as she clutched her worn leather portfolio. Inside were 4 years of memories reduced to legal documents, asset division, debt allocation, the formal dissolution of promises made in better times. Maya was 28 but felt decades older. Her dark hair was pulled into a practical ponytail, her simple blue dress chosen because it was the first thing she'd grabbed that morning. She'd learned to stop caring about appearances around the same time Derek had started commenting on every outfit, every hairstyle, every choice she made. "Mrs. Hoffman?" The receptionist's voice was professionally sympathetic. "Mr. Blackwell is ready for you." Not Mrs. Hoffman anymore, Maya thought, but didn't correct her. In 30 minutes, she'd be Maya Chen again, reclaiming the name and identity she'd surrendered 4 years ago. Derek was already in the conference room, looking infuriatingly handsome in his tailored suit. At 30, he had the kind of clean-cut attractiveness that had initially drawn her in: strong jaw, styled blonde hair, confident posture. Now she saw past the exterior to the controlling, manipulative man underneath. "Maya." His greeting was cold. "Let's get this over with." No pleasantries, no acknowledgement of what they'd once meant to each other. Just Derek's impatience to finalize their failure and move on. His new girlfriend was probably waiting in his car, the 22-year-old receptionist from his pharmaceutical company who looked at him like he was a hero instead of the insecure bully Maya had learned he truly was. Mr. Blackwell, a kind-eyed man in his 60s, walked them through the papers with practiced efficiency. Community property divided, Maya keeping her photography equipment and vintage camera collection, Derek keeping almost everything else. She'd signed away her claim to their condo, their savings, even the wedding gifts from her family. She just wanted out, wanted freedom more than she wanted things. "The decree will be final in 6 months, Mr. Blackwell explained. But once you both sign, you're legally separated and free to move forward with your lives." Maya picked up the pen, her hand steadier than she expected. She'd cried all her tears over the past year, mourning the marriage while still trapped in it. Now she felt only relief tinged with grief for the girl she'd been who'd believed in forever. Her signature flowed across the page, Maya Chen. Reclaiming herself one letter at a time. Derek signed quickly, barely looking at the papers. Then he stood, buttoning his jacket with sharp, aggressive movements. "I hope you're happy now," he said, his voice dripping with contempt. "You threw away everything we built. You'll realize eventually what you lost. I gave you everything, and you'll end up alone and struggling like you would have been if I hadn't saved you from that pathetic life." The words were designed to wound, to make her doubt, to maintain control even in this final moment. A year ago, they would have worked. But Maya had spent months in therapy, slowly excavating her self-worth from beneath Derek's systematic destruction of it. "You're right," she said quietly, meeting his eyes. "I did have a pathetic life. But only while I was married to you." Derek's face flushed with rage, but Mr. Blackwell's presence prevented an outburst. He stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the picture frames. Maya exhaled slowly, her entire body shaking. She'd done it. She was free. "You okay?" Mr. Blackwell asked gently. Getting there, Maya managed a weak smile. "Thank you for everything." She gathered her things and left, each step toward the elevator feeling lighter. For years of walking on eggshells, of monitoring every word and action to avoid Derek's anger, of slowly disappearing into his expectations. Done. Finished. Over. The parking garage was dim and echoing. Maya found her ancient Honda Civic in its spot and slid behind the wheel, finally allowing tears to fall. They weren't tears of regret, but of release. She'd survived. She'd escaped. She was going to be okay. She turned the key. The engine made a grinding, wheezing sound before dying completely. "No," Maya whispered. Please, not today. She tried again. Nothing. The car was dead, as finished as her marriage. Maya dropped her forehead to the steering wheel and laughed bitterly. Of course. Of course, her car would die today. Derek had been too busy to help her maintain it, and she'd been too ground down to insist. Just another small way he'd kept her dependent and struggling. Excuse me? Are you all right? Maya's head snapped up. A man stood beside her car, concern evident in his expression. He was tall, maybe 6'2", with dark hair starting to silver at the temples and warm brown eyes that actually looked like they cared about her answer. His suit was clearly expensive, perfectly tailored to his athletic frame, but he wore it casually, jacket off and sleeves rolled up. Car trouble, Maya said, wiping her eyes quickly. And pretty much every other kind of trouble, but the car is the immediate problem. The stranger smiled sympathetically. I'm pretty good with cars. Mind if I take a look? You're wearing a suit that probably costs more than my rent, Maya pointed out. I can't let you get dirty trying to fix my disaster. The suit will survive. He was already moving to her hood. Pop it open? Maya pulled the release, watching as this inexplicably kind stranger bent over her engine. He checked various components with the confidence of someone who actually knew what he was doing, which seemed incongruous with the obviously expensive clothes and watch that probably cost more than her car's total value. Your battery's completely dead, and I think your alternator is shot, he announced, wiping his hands on a handkerchief he'd produced from his pocket. This car isn't going anywhere without a tow. Maya closed her eyes. Perfect. Just perfect. Can I call someone for you? Partner, friend, family? Just sign my divorce papers upstairs, Maya said before she could stop herself. My family's across the country, and my friends kind of disappeared during the marriage. Apparently standing up to a controlling husband makes you too dramatic for some people. The stranger's expression darkened with understanding. I'm familiar with that story. Different details, same isolation tactics. He extended his hand. I'm Dominic. And before you worry, I promise I'm not a serial killer or someone taking advantage of a vulnerable person in a parking garage. I'm just someone who remembers what it felt like to walk out of a divorce lawyer's office and feel completely alone. Maya shook his hand, surprised by the warmth and steadiness of his grip. Maya. And if you are a serial killer, honestly today might not be the day to try me. I've got nothing left to lose. Dominic laughed, genuine and warm. Fair enough. Look, I know this is weird, and you have zero reason to trust a stranger, but can I offer you a ride somewhere? Anywhere you need to go. No strings, no expectations, just one divorced person helping another on what's probably one of the worst days of your year. Maya studied him, her instincts warring with her circumstances. Everything about Derek had taught her not to trust men who seemed too good to be true. But she was stranded, alone, and this man's eyes held the kind of sadness that only came from genuine pain, not manipulation. Just a ride, she said finally. To the nearest car rental place. Just a ride, Dominic agreed. My car's this way. He led her to a sleek black Tesla, because of course he drove a Tesla. But when he opened the passenger door for her, it felt courteous rather than performative, like he did it because he wanted to, not because he was trying to impress her. As Maya settled into the leather seat, expensive and comfortable and so far removed from her life that it felt surreal, she wondered if maybe the universe was offering her a kindness after months of cruelty. Or maybe she was making another terrible decision in a long line of them. But as Dominic slid behind the wheel and smiled at her with genuine warmth, asking if she was comfortable before he started the car, Maya decided to take a chance. One ride from a kind stranger who understood divorce. What was the worst that could happen when her life had already been dismantled? She had no idea this ride would change everything. The Tesla glided through Miami traffic with whisper-quiet efficiency, so different from her Honda's rattling protests. Maya watched the city pass outside tinted windows, feeling displaced from reality. 20 minutes ago she'd been signing divorce papers. Now she was in a car worth more than she'd earn in 5 years, with a stranger who somehow felt less dangerous than her own ex-husband. "So what do you do, Dominic?" Maya asked, needing to fill the comfortable silence with something normal. "I run a tech company," he said casually. "Software development, AI integration, that sort of thing. Started it in my garage 8 years ago. What about you?" "Wedding photographer." Maya laughed bitterly. "Ironic, right? I spend my time capturing other people's happily ever afters while mine was falling apart." "Not ironic. Beautiful." Dominic glanced at her. "You help people preserve their best moments even while surviving your worst. That takes strength." The simple validation made her throat tight. Derek had mocked her career constantly, called it a hobby, suggested she get a real job to contribute more financially, even though his need for control meant he'd sabotaged every employment opportunity she'd pursued. "Which tech company?" Maya asked, curious despite herself. "Castellano Technologies." Maya's eyes widened. Castellano Technologies was massive, a billion-dollar empire that had revolutionized cloud computing and data security. Which meant Dominic wasn't just wealthy. He was absurdly, impossibly wealthy. "You're Dominic Castellano." She said it as a statement, not a question. The Dominic Castellano. The one who was on the cover of Forbes last month. He winced slightly. "Guilty. Does that change things?" "Because I promise, I'm still just a guy who got divorced 6 months ago and knows what it feels like to have your life implode." "Your ex-wife left you?" Maya couldn't hide her surprise. "I'm sorry, that's rude, but you're a billionaire. I thought money protected people from heartbreak. Turns out it doesn't." Dominic's smile was sad. "Amanda left me for Marcus, her personal trainer. She said I was married to my company, that wealth couldn't buy her the attention she needed. She wasn't wrong, actually. I worked 90-hour weeks, missed anniversaries, birthdays, every moment that mattered. The money was supposed to prove my love, but it just proved my absence." His honesty disarmed her. "My ex controlled everything," Maya shared. "Where I went, who I saw, what I wore. He said it was love, that he just cared about me so much. Took me 3 years to realize it was prison, not protection." They shared a look of mutual understanding, two people who'd survived different flavors of the same poison. "I'm starving," Dominic said suddenly. "Have you eaten today?" Maya realized she hadn't. "No, but you don't have to." "I know I don't have to. But I'm going to anyway." "Humor me. There's this little Cuban place nearby, Best Ropa Vieja in Miami. We can grab dinner as two recently divorced people who understand that sometimes you need someone who gets it." Every instinct screamed that this was too fast, too weird, too much. But those instincts had been shaped by Derek's abuse. Maybe it was time to trust different instincts. "Okay," Maya agreed. "As friends who understand divorce." Café Havana was tucked into a side street, family-owned and aromatic with garlic and spices. Dominic was clearly a regular. The owner greeted him warmly in rapid Spanish before ushering them to a corner booth. Over plantains and rice, they talked. Really talked, in ways Maya hadn't with anyone in years. Dominic was surprisingly easy to be with, self-deprecating about his wealth, genuinely interested in her photography. He asked to see her portfolio and studied each image with real attention. "These are incredible," he said, pausing on a sunset wedding shot. "You capture emotion, not just moments. That's rare." "Thank you." Maya felt herself relaxing for the first time all day. "I love what I do, even if it doesn't pay much. Derek hated that I wouldn't give it up for something more lucrative. Creative work is real work." Dominic's voice was firm. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Their conversation was interrupted by a striking woman approaching their table. She was tall, elegant, with luminous purple skin that marked her as Volusian, one of the alien species who'd integrated into Earth society over the past decade. Her silver eyes fixed on Dominic with protective intensity. "Dom, I've been trying to reach you," she said, her accent melodic. The Singapore meeting was moved up. She stopped, noticing Maya. "Oh. I didn't realize you had company. Kira, this is Maya." "Maya, Kira, my assistant and the person who actually runs my company while I pretend to be in charge." Dominic smiled. "The Singapore meeting can wait until tomorrow, right?" Kira's gaze swept over Maya, assessing and clearly skeptical. "Of course. I'll reschedule." Her tone suggested she had opinions about Dominic having dinner with a woman she'd never met. After Kira left, Dominic sighed. "She's protective. Too protective sometimes. After Amanda, she's convinced every woman I meet is after my money." "To be fair," Maya said carefully, "I'm sure plenty are." "Are you?" He studied her intently. "No." Maya met his eyes. "I'm after a car rental and maybe some normalcy after the worst day I've had in months. Your money is intimidating, actually. It reminds me how different our worlds are." Something in Dominic's expression softened. "What if I told you I find your world more appealing than mine? That I'd trade a dozen board meetings for an afternoon photographing something beautiful?" The air between them shifted, charged with possibility. Maya felt it and panicked slightly. This was too much, too fast. She'd signed divorce papers 5 hours ago. "I should go," she said abruptly. "This has been wonderful, really, but I need to process everything that happened today." Dominic nodded, understanding in his eyes. "Let me at least get you that rental car." "And Maya?" He pulled out a business card, writing something on the back. "That's my personal number. If you ever need anything, a ride, a friend who gets divorce, whatever, call me. No pressure, no expectations." Maya took the car. Her fingers brushing his. The contact sent unexpected warmth through her. "Thank you, Dominic. For everything. You turned a terrible day into something bearable." "You did the same for me," he said softly. "I've been eating dinner alone for 6 months. This was the first meal I actually enjoyed." As Dominic drove her to the rental agency, Maya found herself studying his profile, the strong line of his jaw, the slight crinkles around his eyes when he smiled. He was handsome, yes, but more than that, he was kind. Genuinely, unexpectedly kind. When he dropped her off, he walked her inside, made sure she got a fair rate, and paid for the rental over her protests. "Consider it a divorce gift," he said. "One survivor helping another." Maya impulsively hugged him, feeling his surprise before his arms came around her carefully. He smelled like cedar and coffee, and for just a moment, she let herself feel safe in a way she hadn't in years. "Thank you," she whispered. "Anytime," he whispered back. Driving away in her rental, Maya glanced at the business card on the passenger seat. She'd met Dominic Castellano on the worst day of her life. Something told her he might end up being part of her best days. 2.6 weeks passed in a blur of surprising sweetness. Maya called Dominic 3 days after their first meeting, ostensibly to thank him again. Their conversation lasted 3 hours. The next week, they met for coffee. Then dinner. Then a sunset walk on South Beach where they talked until the stars came out. It wasn't dating, exactly. They were both too raw, too recently wounded for labels. But it was connection, the kind that felt like finding water after crossing a desert. Dominic started hiring Maya for his company's events, charity galas, product launches, corporate retreats. "I need a photographer, and you're brilliant," he insisted when she worried about nepotism. "This is business. The fact that I enjoy your company is just a bonus." The work was lucrative and led to other opportunities. Maya's calendar filled with bookings, her bank account slowly recovering from years of Derek's financial control. She moved from her cramped studio to a small but sunny apartment in Coral Gables, feeling independence settle into her bones. But Derek wouldn't let go. He called constantly, showing up at her apartment unannounced, alternating between rage and manipulation. "You'll never make it without me," he'd snarl. Then, minutes later, "I miss you, baby. We can fix this." The harassment escalated after Derek saw photos of Maya at one of Dominic's events, professional shots published in the society pages. He appeared at her door drunk and furious. "You're fucking him, aren't you?" Derek slammed his hand against her doorframe. "You cheated on me with that rich asshole, didn't you?" "We weren't together when I met Dominic," Maya said, her phone already dialing. "And I'm calling the police if you don't leave right now." Derek grabbed her wrist. "You think he actually cares about you? You're just a project to him, a charity case. Get your hands off her." Dominic's voice was ice cold. He'd appeared from the stairwell, his expression dangerous. "Now." Derek released Maya, but his face twisted with contempt. "Of course you called your sugar daddy. Can't fight your own battles, Maya." "She shouldn't have to." Dominic stepped between them. "Leave. Don't contact her again. If you do, you'll deal with me and my very expensive lawyers." After Derek left, spewing threats, Maya broke down. Dominic held her while she cried, his arms solid and safe. "Stay at my place," he said gently. "I have a guest house. Private, secure, completely separate from the main house. Just until he calms down." "I can't," Maya protested. "People will think." "I don't care what people think. I care that you're safe." His eyes were fierce. "Please, Maya. Let me help." She moved into the guest house the next day, a charming cottage on Dominic's waterfront property. It had its own entrance, full kitchen, and more space than her apartment. Kira helped her move, the Volusian woman's initial suspicion having thawed into cautious friendship. "He cares about you," Kira said, arranging Maya's photography equipment. "I've never seen him like this. Just, don't hurt him. He's more fragile than he seems." "I could say the same to you about me," Maya replied softly. They shared a smile of understanding, two women protecting someone they cared about. Living near Dominic changed everything. Their friendship deepened into something neither could name but both felt intensely. Late-night conversations by his pool, making breakfast together, stolen glances that lasted too long. The air between them crackled with tension neither was quite ready to acknowledge. One night during a thunderstorm, Maya ran from the guest house to the main residence, seeking company during lightning that triggered her anxiety. She found Dominic in his living room, also unable to sleep, and they ended up on his couch watching old movies. "I'm scared," Maya admitted during a quiet moment. "Of this, of us, of wanting something again after Derek destroyed me." "Me too." Dominic's arm was around her shoulders, her head resting against his chest. "Terrified, actually. But Maya, I haven't felt this alive in years. You make me remember what it's like to want something beyond success metrics and profit margins." She tilted her face up to his. "Dominic." He kissed her. Soft and questioning, giving her every opportunity to pull away. But Maya leaned in instead, her hands fisting in his shirt, kissing him back with desperation and hope and terror all mixed together. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Dominic rested his forehead against hers. "Tell me I didn't just ruin everything." "You didn't," Maya whispered. "But I'm not ready for more." "Not yet. Is that okay?" "It's perfect." He kissed her forehead gently. "We'll go as slow as you need. No pressure, no expectations. Just this, whatever this becomes." They fell asleep on the couch, wrapped in each other's arms, the storm raging outside while they found calm within their tentative connection.